Good morning and welcome to Wake Up America Weekend. I'm Kenzie Beach.
And I'm Kyle Dowder. It is Sunday, July 12th, and we start this hour with breaking news. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away suddenly at the age of 71. His office said he passed away from a brief and sudden illness last night.
We're hearing from President Trump this morning saying Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the greatest people and senators I have ever known, is dead. He is always working. He was always a true American patriot. Lindsey will be greatly missed.
Well, Lindsey Graham, the son of small-town restaurant owners who was orphaned at the age of 22 and raised his younger sister while putting himself through school. Lindsey Graham went on to serve 33 years in the Air Force and then more than 2 decades in the United States Senate. He was one of Washington's fiercest defenders of the military and America's allies, a man who never stopped fighting for our nation's troops. Our thoughts and our prayers are with his family, his colleagues, and the people of South Carolina that he served.
For more on the sudden passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, we're going to head to Washington, D.C. Senior White House correspondent John Gizzi joins us live this morning. John, good morning. We've been talking about this the last hour. The senator, of course, accomplished so much in his 71 years of life. I mean, 33 years of service in the U.S. Air Force. He then retired as a colonel and then 2 decades in the U.S. Senate. I mean, how much will Senator Lindsey Graham be missed?
Oh, he's going to be missed an awful lot, Kenzie. His military background that you mentioned said it all about Lindsey Graham. He worked for a larger, better funded military treatment of troops. The former U.S. Air Force JAG continually sponsored legislation that in many ways is directly responsible for recruitments in the volunteer military up to near high. I think that's going to be his most lasting legacy, along with his policy of supporting freedom throughout the world, whether it was the war on terror a generation ago or more recently helping win its freedom from its Russian oppressors. He had just returned from Kyiv, where he met with President Zelensky and was working on a package to aid Ukraine in these desperate moments in the war with Russia. Lindsey Graham, a fighter and an American patriot and a friend of freedom to the end.
Yeah, John, I want to touch upon that. Senator Graham, he put the well-being of people first, and he just visited Ukraine on Friday. And in his last public speech, he talked about ending the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Take a listen.
We've reached agreement with the White House on a version of the Russian sanctions bill that they will support. It means it's going to become law. So when I get back to Washington, I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war.
So, John, with the war in Iran kind of making all of the headlines and the front page news as of late, is there a concern that the issue with Russia and Ukraine will not be addressed in Lindsey Graham's absence here?
No, I think quite the opposite, Kyle. Lindsey's influence and his knowledge of this subject touched a lot of his colleagues. You heard him mention Senator Blumenthal. That's Dick Blumenthal from Connecticut, a Democrat. Lindsey Graham was always reaching across and that may seem rare and unique in these very partisan charged times, but he did it on the issues related to world freedom and fight against oppression. And I have a feeling his name is going to be on the new sanctions package, and certainly the cause in Ukraine he championed won't be forgotten. It wouldn't surprise me if they called this the Lindsey Graham bill when it's finally put to a vote.
Yeah, we have Andrew Kraft here in studio who has talked about the access that Senator Lindsey Graham gave to reporters in D.C. I mean, you're a veteran on the Washington scene there. I mean, what were your interactions with him like? And what is maybe a side of Senator Lindsey Graham that not everybody knew?
Well, I'll tell you something. He was always available, and I go back to when, as a one-term state representative, he captured a U.S. House seat the 4th District of South Carolina, that had been in hands since 1877. Well, he won it in 1994. 2 years later, he defeated the daughter of the longtime Democratic congressman from the seat, wrapped it up to the Senate without opposition in the Republican primary. Why? Because Lindsey Graham was always available. You could call him, and his chief of staff, Richard Perry, made sure he called you back and sometimes placed the call him. I was with him when I covered John McCain's presidential campaign. I saw him in the Senate halls. Lindsey Graham always had time for me, as he did for everyone else in the 4th Estate. And that's one reason I believe he was head of term with ease in South Carolina.
John Gizzi, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.